Hi, good evening. Welcome to Business Live. Coming up tonight, Parliament approves Cocoa Board's $1.3 billion syndicated loan request by minority in Parliament accuses Cocoa Board of breach of revenue laws. We'll explain. Also coming up, all national ID card holders to automatically receive tax identification numbers from January next year as government works to improve on revenue generation. And planning for retirement, we'll tell you how one public sector worker is making huge investments in running a piggery. And we've got details of those stories and others coming up in this half hour of Business News. And we begin tonight from Parliament, where the minority is accusing Cocoa Board of acting illegally in breach of revenue laws by deciding to invest export duty on cocoa in cocoa roads. Now, Parliament today approved Cocoa Board's $1.3 billion syndicated loan, with the minority raising objections. Minority MP on Parliament's Finance Committee, Ben Podo, says Cocoa Board is running away from parliamentary oversight.
Export duty realizable from the export of our cocoa for a number of years since 2018. Export duty has not been captured on the annual national budget. Even as non-tax revenue, cocoa has not contributed anything to the national budget since this time. Now, I raised it earlier in the period of approval of the 2020 budget last year. But the Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation responded that the provision for export duty on cocoa was zero. Now, in the mid-year review, which the Minister for Finance presented to Parliament and the supplementary budget, again, that issue was reiterated. No provision was made for cocoa to contribute anything towards the national budget, that is into the consolidated fund for general budgetary application. But strangely enough, when the Cocoa Board brought a request to us to approve their request for a facility of $1.3 billion US dollars for the purchase of cocoa beans and for use during the 2020-21 cocoa period, they made an allocation of 456,630,574 Ghana cedis, and also 128,407,552, totaling about 580 million Ghana cedis.
Chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, Dr. Mark Esibe-Abua, responded to that. He said Cocoa Board is only being transparent.
To zero, yes. Cocoa Board is being transparent by saying that the export duty that we would have paid, which has been waived by Ministry of Finance as zero in the budget, is going to be used for cocoa roads and the View Dam commitment. That is what is here. So this is transparency. The Kufuor government is transparent, accountable, and has men of integrity. That's what they are doing here.
Well, meanwhile, Agric Minister Dr. Usu Akoto has told Parliament cocoa production will see an increase from next year after a 10-year low due to the cocoa swollen shoot virus disease. He was responding to questions on the floor.
I wasn't there yesterday when you were having discussions, but all the figures I've quoted here are straight from Ghana Cocoa Board. So if you want to take any issue with Ghana Cocoa Board on the figures that they gave you at your committee, I think that I'm the wrong person to be asking, because all the information that I have given is from Ghana Cocoa Board. And Mr. Speaker, as I said, I wasn't party to the meeting that the honourable member is referring to. So, of the Cocoa Research Institute in Tafo. That is where everything is coming from. And the Cocoa Research Institute is, I would say, the leading cocoa research center in the whole world, started in 1934. It has a reputation which other countries come to learn from us. So I have no doubt that whatever products coming out of that institute will be able to sustain and expand our production of cocoa. Because other experts from around the world, I know they come there to learn from the scientists at CRIC, which is that's the Cocoa Research Institute at Tafo. And therefore, I'm absolutely sure that the seedlings produced by Cocoa Board will not only survive, but also help to flourish the cocoa industry in Ghana.
From cocoa issues, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says all holders of the national ID cards are automatically tin holders from January next year. 10 tax identification number holders, that I mean. Now, this, he says, is an anchor on which the country's economy will be built on as government seeks to generate more revenue from taxes. Addressing some youth to mark International Youth Day, the Vice President said this would also position all entrepreneurs for easy access to government services.
Then the national ID card will become the anchor for formalizing the economy as well as integrating existing databases. It is very, very important. Very recently, as we try to allocate certain resources for COVID, small businesses were asked to apply, and individuals were asked to apply for these reliefs from government. People were asked, what is your TIN number? You remember? And many people did not have a TIN number. In fact, less than 3 million people in Ghana have a TIN number. So we have decided that we are going to make sure that almost everybody, as much as possible, has a TIN number. And how are we going to do this? It's quite straightforward. All national ID numbers will be converted into TIN numbers starting. So if you have a national ID number, once you have a national ID number, from January going, it will become your TIN number. You don't need to go and apply for a TIN number anymore. We'll integrate all those databases, and suddenly, with that particular policy that the President has asked us to undertake, with that particular policy, suddenly Ghana will move from 3 million people with tax, less than 3 million, to about 16 million by the end of the year, in just one foul policy, from 3 to 16. And that changes the entire revenue generation capacity of the country.
The Vice President further touted as remarkable the achievements in the banking sector, stating that over 15 million Ghanaians own bank accounts with digital platforms inclusive.
The total number of transactions recorded under mobile money as of December 2019 was 200 million transactions. For mobile money, total number of transactions, 200 million transactions. Whereas for banks, total number of transactions was 599,000 for the year 2019. 599,000 for banks, total transactions. For mobile money, we had 200 million transactions. So the bank's transactions was only 3% of the mobile money transactions. So banking has been turned on its head. We have moved from branch banking to branchless banking. And that is what is happening. That is what is happening. So what we can say, without any fear of contradiction, is that that today, with the mobile money accounts and the banking system accounts, at least 15 million people have bank accounts in Ghana, at least 15 million. And that is no mean achievement. And all the congratulations go to the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, for that vision. Many people did not, and still do not, quite understand what I meant when I said that every eligible Ghanaian will be able to get a bank account when we implement mobile money interoperability during our term. They were thinking of the traditional bank accounts. But we have moved on. We are in a digital world now. They have to move. So what we have achieved is quite remarkable. And I say again, it has not been done in Africa. We are the leading country and the only country to have done this mobile money interoperability. It's a remarkable achievement.
The Vice President addressing a ceremony to mark International Youth Day. Let's turn to other news now. Inflation rate for the month of July increased marginally. It went up slightly to reach 11.4%. According to the Ghana Statistical Service, the increase was driven by transport fare hikes. Government statistician Professor Kwabena Anim has been given more details at a news conference in Accra.
The national year-on-year inflation rate was 11.4% in July 2020, which is a 0.2 percentage points higher than last month. Aside the food and non-alcoholic beverages group, which recorded 13.7%, the transport and housing subsector recorded a higher rate of inflation for the period. According to the Ghana Statistical Services, there has been a marginal reduction in the effects of the coronavirus pandemic in the rate of inflation from the various regions. Here is Professor Kwabena Anim.
This translates into a year-on-year, that is July 2019 as the base year relative to July 2020 year-on-year inflation of 11.4%. which literally means that between July 2019 and July 2020, on the average, general price levels have gone up by 11.4%. On a month-on-month basis, that is comparing June 2020 with July 2020, inflation was 0.5%. This is the lowest inflation, month-on-month inflation, that we've recorded during the COVID phase, which means that we have returned to the pre-COVID month-on-month levels, which we have an inflation figure of 0.5%, and that compares with the 0.4, 0.3, and 0.7 that we recorded in the early months of the year.
In a related development, the Ghana Statistical Service has worked out inflation rate for the month of July on two scenarios. This should mean that the inflation rate for July without the inflation rate for July without the coronavirus is now 9.3%.
And the core inflation has been computed on the backdrop of the potential effect of COVID-19 on price changes on the average. And we indicate that there are some food items, there are some energy items, and there are some utility items that when we observe their patterns over time, they are pretty much volatile. So for that reason, we exclude these food items, selected food items, energy and utility from the computation of inflation. In that context, we record a July 2020 core inflation of 9.3%. Therefore, from the perspective of core inflation, we still are maintaining the single digit, as was the case during the pre-COVID times.
The Greater Accra region is still having the highest rate of inflation, followed by the Ashanti and Western regions, respectively.
Now, shareholders of ADB will not be paid dividends for 2019 financial year, even though the bank recorded a year-on-year profit after tax of 14.8 million cedis in 2019 compared with 5.9 million cedis in 2018. Board Chairman Alex Benasco revealed that ADB, as of the end of December 2016, was burdened with a negative income surplus of 188.8 million cedis. Charles Aite has more in this report.
Speaking at the bank's 33rd annual general meeting,
Alex Benasco, the board chairman of the bank, revealed that the development has subjected the bank to a regulation requirement by the Bank of Ghana that directs its right of the accumulation operating losses before declaring dividends.
At the end of 31st December 2016, the bank had a negative surplus of 118.8 million Ghana cedis. Regulation requires the bank to completely write off accumulated operating losses from its normal operations before it may declare dividends. The board is thus constrained from recommending the declaration of dividends until the accumulated negative income surplus has been completely written off.
Meanwhile, Managing Director of the bank, Dr. John Kofi Mensah, has revealed the bank will intensify its e-commerce products and services. This, he says, will see ADB complete the migration from magnetic stripe cards to a much more secured EMV chip and PIN cards.
2015 was a loss, 2016 was a loss, averaging around 100 million. 2017, new management, a new board came in, and later to be reorganized in 2018. Latter part of 2019, we decided to put a new business plan in place, and therefore we had to beef up our staffing position for the new business plan.
ADB showed some gains in the headline interest margin, which improved from 55.4% in preceding year to 61% in 2019, responding to the retail deposit increased by 31.2% from the 2.6 billion cedis in 2018 to 3.4 billion cedis in 2019. This largely resulted in a 27% balance sheet growth and accounting for the 28% increase in gross loans from 1.5 billion cedis in 2018 to 1.9 billion cedis.
And you're watching Business Live. We are taking a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the program tonight. Heading towards retirement means rest for many, but for some others, it is time to revive their appetite for entrepreneurship. For public sector worker Kwabena and team, starting a pig farm is not just about having a stream of income whilst he's on retirement, but doing something he's always loved, taking care of animals. On the Joy Business van tonight, we head to JOYBUSINESS in the Eastern region, where Mr. and team is making
I had loads of animals in the house. I mean, every animal you can imagine. I mean, domesticated animals, hamsters, guinea pigs, guinea fowls, turkeys, chicken, and all that. So I grew up around animals, actually. But growing up, I also developed an interest in animals, and I kept a keen eye for animals that interested me.
Pigs were of interest to him. In fact, Kwabena loves pork. He decided to start a piggery and would later call it Trotter's Paradise.
I visited about 200 pig farms because I was always on the road by the nature of the job I do. And any farm I saw on the road, I'll ask the kind permission of the farmer to come in and have a look at what they do and ask questions about what they do. Then, of course, there's the internet. The internet affords us with endless possibilities and endless answers to questions that you want to find.
When Kwabena was ready to start, he secured land here at JOYBUSINESS and started with 13 pigs, including Trotter, the first breeding male. Guess you understand now why the farm is called Trotter's Paradise.
The first thing you need on the pig farm is here. It's passion. You must have passion for the animals. I mean, you can't eat if your pigs haven't eaten. And if you want to give your pig anything to eat, so be it. But if your pig eats anything, it will give you any meat. You must convince yourself that your pig must eat well, so it will give you proper meat. So you need the passion and you need resources to do it.
Kwabena self-funds his piggery. The central theme for his business is from cradle to table, as he's passionate about producing quality meat from birth to when the pig is finally slaughtered. That means investing in infrastructure and maintaining hygienic conditions, and most importantly, good quality feed.
I knew that Ghanaians loved pork. So I knew that if I was able to breed good quality, hygienic, well-fed pigs, and then have them processed properly, packaged properly, then there'll be a market for it. So these are the considerations I made. But if I looked at the money side, what it was going to cost me to do it, then I already have started, because it's capital intensive.
From 13 pigs, Kwabena now has over 400 in his farm, and after successfully managing it for 2 years, he's now turning to value addition. Next, Kwabena takes me to a processing center he has just constructed, where pigs are slaughtered and packaged as fresh pork, sausages, or baked for the market. Doesn't that just whet your appetite? That's it for Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching.